Hey everybody, welcome to Friday with the 11 Winery Virtual Happy Hour. I'm your host Matt. Soon to be with me is Alana Carell from the Winslow Tasting Room. Here she comes now. I'm gonna get naked. Just kidding, I'm just gonna take my jacket off. Pop that over there. Blah, blah, blah. You know, it's a nice little introduction. Hey, there's Winslow Way. There's traffic going by.
Yeah, there's somewhere a setting I'm sure that would make it so that doesn't happen, but I can't seem to find it.
Oh boy. Um, no worries. Hey, well, at least it's working in split screen from your phone. It wasn't working from Alana's phone earlier in the week. Um, well, how are things down on Winslow Way today?
They are good. It actually looked like a kind of uh, busy day. There were a lot of people out, and I saw a few businesses open that weren't open last week. So that was
Really?
good.
I think some of
Yeah.
the restaurants are doing stuff on Fridays, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, that aren't doing stuff the rest of the week. Um, yeah.
Yeah, that might be it. I heard like I don't know, the bakery, like the little stand across the street it was closed last week, but it was open
Oh
today
yeah.
and people were getting their coffee and pastries.
Coquette. Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Maybe they went on
Yeah.
vacation or something. Well, I guess you can't really go on vacation now. Maybe they just stayed at home and cried into their pillow for a little while. But that's good. They're back. They're the
Yeah.
best.
Yeah.
The
They seem to
best.
be busy today. There were a lot of people coming and going from over there. And in
They
here.
must have an email list or something that because I didn't know. Well, welcome. Well, wait. First, I got a joke. Uh, the X chromosome, the Y chromosome say to the X chromosome? Exactly.
I don't know.
Do these genes make me look fat?
Okay, I have one today too.
All right, hit me.
Okay. Hopefully this hasn't already been told on this happy hour over the course of the last couple of weeks,
Thanks,
but what
Santa.
did the grape say when the elephant stepped on it?
Oh, it didn't say anything. It just let out a little whine.
Dang it! You already knew that
Never
one.
heard, never heard that one before.
It seemed like an appropriate
Okay,
one.
well, welcome to the 11 Winery virtual happy hour, everybody. Bringing together the 11 nation for great wine fun and making sure nobody forgets just because you're in self-isolation, just because you're staying home and staying safe, does not mean you have to stay sober. Hope you all have had a reasonably okay week in quarantine. And I'm Matt Albee, founder and winemaker of 11 Winery, and with me on the split screen on Instagram or on the audio only if you're on Facebook, per the sign, is this is where you introduce
Alana.
yourself. Thank you.
Yes. I was waiting for the
Alana.
right cue in. Yeah. On mine it is backwards, but hopefully that's coming through correctly
Well,
for
see,
everyone
I
on
figured
Facebook.
I would keep the sign reading forwards because for the people on Facebook, it reads forwards and they can't see you, but the people on Instagram, they can actually see you. So they don't really need this
Ah.
information. Well, except for that part there, they need that part. Um, Burying the lead up in the corner, today we're going to be tasting our first ever release of Carmenere, 2018 Carmenere. Um, So, um, we want to hear from you guys who are watching online what you are tasting. So let us know what you're tasting, and and if you have, share any comments that you have about what you're tasting or life in general or whatever. Um, let's get into it, shall we?
All right.
I already,
Also, feel free
I,
to ask us any questions as we go.
I cracked it. I cracked mine open already, so I'm ready.
Oh,
I've been waiting for this all day. I'm super excited. All right.
me too.
Kalawino's drinking Nine Hats Cabernet Sauvignon. Where's Nine Hats, Craig and Melissa? Is that a Colorado winery or is that a Washington winery?
Yeah, nine
2018
hats.
red. Nice.
Ooh, nice.
I'm assuming she means the 11 winery Mourvèdre.
Probably. I
Which
mean, it's
means
candy,
that's so
so
that could only be the Prodigy because the 2018 Sugarloaf has not been released.
sounds like Nine Hats is in Washington. Oh,
Nice.
Soto, huh?
Crazy wineries with numbers in the names. All right. Um,
Oh,
Soda.
I mean, this.
Soto. They grow grapes in Soto? That's craziness. All right. Aha, there he is. All right, I'm getting a lot of, what is that strange smell? And whew, I hope Ted is watching today, because Ted is really the inspiration for this. Ted, are you there? That strange
State
smell
42
smells an
wines
awful
since
lot like,
Brandon.
oh yes, it's definitely green pepper.
Yeah.
Mm. For all you pyrazine fans, this wine has green pepper in spades. Um,
Mm.
but somehow, and yet, it's so harmonious with those really nice, rich, um, kind of how would you describe these flavors? I don't know. It's definitely red fruits, but like darker than raspberries, but brighter than black cherries. Kind of in the cherry berry spectrum.
Yeah,
I don't like to tell
I
people what they
definitely get
should
that.
taste, but kind of red purple fruit.
Hmm. Yeah, no, that's not our thing
Oh,
here.
candy. Well, and how many cases of this do we have available, Alana?
Um, that's a good question, Matt. I know it's about 600 bottles, but off the top of my head, the math isn't happening here.
So, total. Well, so we bottled about 60 cases, and I don't know how much of it. Probably like a good chunk of it went to the wine club, and
Yeah.
um, but there is still some available. So get yours and get it now
Yeah, it's
is what
not
I'm
gonna
saying.
last very long.
So
Ooh, and it is good.
I'll tell you a little story about Carmenere. So this is our very first Carmenere, and it's probably the least known of the six Bordeaux red varieties. So they use it in Bordeaux, a little bit. They're allowed to use it in Bordeaux. And the back several years ago, when the vineyard manager for Hattrop Farms um, was talking about Carmenere, and we were just kind of shooting the breeze, talking about Carmenere, and he said, that variety can just hang on the vine forever. Like the part of what determines like how long grapes can hang on the vine and stay healthy is like the how strong the interface is between the berry. It's my fist is now a berry and the pedicel. So it's that little bit of stem that attaches to the berry is called the pedicel, and like how secure that attachment is determines in large part like how long the grape can hang. Because if it when that attachment starts to fail, then you get bacteria or yeast colonizing in there and it's making the berries go bad. Um, and he said one year they had a batch of it, and um, they're like, let's just see how long we can let this hang, like just see how long it'll go, and they just let it go and let it go and let it go, and like it went, and they took it off like really late, and still perfectly sound fruit. So, when we were, and one of my longtime volunteers, Ted Olerking, just kept hounding me year after year after year, like, when are you gonna make Carmenere? 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 Um, and so when they planted uh, some Carmenere at Sugarloaf, I said, okay, let's do a little bit of Carmenere. So we got a ton and a half, which is about one fermenter for us, is about a ton and a half of Carmenere. And curiously, that you know, relatively early in the 2018 harvest, like, hey, there he is. Hey, Ted and Cece. Um, uh, Drew Crandall, how's it going, Drew? Um, we were, as I do, I'm checking on the numbers, and it's a new variety. I don't know what to expect. Hang on, my computer went dark. Uh, I don't know what to expect, and so uh, I am looking at the numbers, and all of a sudden, it looks the sugars are there, and the flavors are there, and the acid's really soft. I'm like, wow, it's really early, but it seems like this is ready. Um, my computer has completely died in the background that was running Facebook. What's it doing? Oh well. Hope that's still working. And uh, so we harvested it, and like from the day we crushed it, we could tell like, wow, this has crazy pyrazines. Um, I, it's the green pepper was just intense. Um, okay, thanks, Mark. Um, for some reason, my computer decided to go to sleep. I don't know what's going on. It's really kind of challenging for me to try and manage two devices. Sorry, everybody. Um, so, uh, you guys are super helpful. You guys are the best. I appreciate it. There's people commenting on Instagram that they can still see me on Facebook. So, thank you. I appreciate the tech support, live tech support from Mark Wilkins in Iceland. Way to go. So anyway, we brought the fruit in. It was relatively early season, and I'm thinking to myself, I thought this was supposed to be late season grape, but okay, we'll bring it in. And man, I was worried about it, and it definitely went through some changes. For you guys who are just joining us, we're tasting the first ever Carmenere release from 11 Winery 2018. Ah, now my live video's ended. Oh man, shoot.
Did they lose you on Facebook?
Yeah. How could this possibly happen? Give me 1 second. 1 second, please. Please stand by.
Well, while you are figuring that out, someone just said
Yeah, thank
this,
you.
but in one of the comments, call a wine. But a fun fact that I found about Carmenere while I was doing a little research earlier today is that it almost nearly went extinct because and the reason it didn't is because they were planting it in Chile in the 19th century and they thought it was Merlot. So they were planting a bunch of it thinking it was Merlot. And it wasn't actually until 1994 that DNA research confirmed that it was actually Carmenere and not and it seems is coming out of Chile. And at least according to what I found, there are less than 20 acres of it left in France, which is where it originated. So if it weren't for Chile, we would have almost no Carmenere, except for now what we're getting in Washington you said from Sugarloaf Vineyards, Matt?
Right, yeah. Um, well, so uh, that is correct. Sugarloaf Vineyard, and so this wine definitely went through some interesting phases as it evolved, and as some wines do, kind of went through a dark period. Um, we fermented it and put it to barrel, and then actually it was because it was kind of one of the last things that went into barrels for some reason. And we had it in tank, and we were tasting it at the October wine club party out of the tank, and I just thought, wow, and it just was frightening. It did not taste good. I was so worried about it. And then over time in the barrel, it just evolved really nicely, and the green pepper kind of diminished and integrated, and yeah, it's super cool.
I remember when you were
Hmm.
talking about it. By the way, Matt, just so I feel like you should know, my mom is on. She's joining us from Mexico. She told me she'd be on, so
Awesome.
I saw her pop up a couple times. Anyway, hi, Mom. Um, I remember back when you were talking about it and you weren't super happy with it, you were thinking about maybe blending it with something. Did we end up blending it at all, or is it 100% Carmenere, what I've got in my glass?
Oh, good. Excellent. Thank you for asking. Um, well, um, we did a little bit of research, and we found out that a common blender for high-end Carmenere is Petit Verdot. And we said, hey, we've got some varietal Petit Verdot. Let's try it with that. And we like that a lot, and so we ended up blending in 11% of Petit Verdot because that's how we roll, and uh, and it it just added a little bit of richness to it, and darkened up the color a bit because the Carmenere had pretty big berries, but we didn't do any Saignée on it as I discussed yesterday. So too tall. I think you definitely should order a case. Order it now. Two
Before it's
cases.
gone. We also had a question from SI Perry of what our favorite wine was, and I'm not sure if that's like ever created all out there or our favorite 11 wine, but
Yeah. We'll get, well, it really depends on what I'm having to eat. And also, it's kind of like picking a favorite child. It doesn't mean I don't have one. It's just different on different days. Alana wouldn't know. She only has one kid. And
it's true. He's definitely my
favorite. Definitely feel free to jump in with any questions you guys have online who are watching, and let us know what you are tasting. Let's see. I'm gonna have another sip of this while Alana. So Alana, what do you think food-wise you would pair with this?
It's really funny what I keep thinking of, and maybe it's because it's one of my favorite things to eat, but all the green pepper in it, like I love a pizza that has like mushrooms and green pepper on it, and so I feel like this would be a great pizza wine.
It's worth a shot. Yeah.
I mean, it's really delicious all around, so I feel like it would be pretty good with just about anything.
All right. That is good. What else? What else you got?
Well, so for our club members who are joining, they maybe know, or other people that have seen our social media posts, we kind of we had words that went with our other club wines in our club notes they were discussed. So the word for Tempranillo was hope. It stands for early, so hopefulness that this will end early. And then white Mourvèdre is joy. Its word was joy, and the La Primavera, our rosé, its word was laughter. So I'm wondering what you think the Carmenere's word might be, Matt.
I think a great word for this would be surprise, because we just really didn't know what we were going to get. It's a new variety for us, and like with any new variety, and or new vineyard, you just never really know how things are going to turn out. So all you can do is cross your fingers. And this one was definitely a surprise. I mean, we just really didn't know. But a happy surprise, as it turns out.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Green pepper Cab Franc goes well with pork. That sounds good.
I think, and that the green pepper Cab Franc thing, or yeah, like peppercorn steak might be good. The green pepper, sometimes just doesn't go away because of picking it early. It probably has more to do with the heat units, total heat units. Like, so if it were really, if it were hot, regardless of when you picked it, it wouldn't have pyrazines. So I would guess it has as much to do with the temperature and heat units as it does with the picking date. Can't get the wine delivered in Iceland, but might be able to order wine to. All of our red wines will improve over that first year in the bottle. Absolutely 100%. Yeah, so even if you aren't able to pick it up for a year, I would totally order it now. And yes, we do deliveries on Bainbridge Island. For if you order $50 worth of wine, we'll deliver it to your doorstep for free. Yeah.
Yep, and we ship most places.
Yeah.
Not Iceland, unfortunately.
Thanks, Mark. Yeah, international shipping is hard. I mean, if you want to pay $300 shipping for 6 bottles of wine, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
What else?
Well, Matt, I don't know if the other tasting room staff, the other happiness engineers like to ask you these weird questions like I do, but my other weird question, kind of off the wall question, is if this
No question
wine
too
were
strange,
to
too,
be, what's that?
no question too strange or too short.
That's true. So if you were to pair this wine, or it would to like go with a certain musical, either genre or a band or even a specific song, what do you think that would be for Carmenere?
Um, um, you know, I'll answer that in a second. The best way to enjoy a bottle of wine?
The best way, not from the bottle.
Uh, well, you open it up and you let it breathe. And if it does not appear to be breathing, you give it mouth to mouth. No, this one's better from the glass, I'm gonna say. And as far as what band I would like to listen to some soul coughing with this. If you're familiar with soul coughing, um, it's definitely loud, raucous, and got some surprising minor key elements thrown in. Just a little bit of noisy, jangly kind of stuff thrown in there. That's what I would go for. Something little bit surprising and dissonant. Um, what uh, uh, what music would you like to listen to?
Definitely something else along the rockin' lines. I'm kind of thinking something like a little bit harder, maybe like some Soundgarden with this.
Sound right on.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Really cool.
People are asking for cases to be sent to them all over the place.
Fantastic. We're happy to
Yeah,
help with that. Aerosmith.
definitely.
Aerosmith. Yeah, Chuck, you're
The
hilarious.
Eagles.
We actually have a strict. I'm not. I shouldn't get into controversy while we've got time to
No.
watch. La la la. Moving on.
Oh man. Is it
Uh,
is it a certain time yet, Matt? What time is it?
um. No, we're not doing that today.
Oh, no more. Is that over
We haven't been playing that next week. So
with?
Alana's wondering whether where this week we're not playing. How does that taste with Viognier? Um, a game we've been playing with some of our other wines, but we're not going to play that with this wine because this wine does not get along with other people. This wine maybe even doesn't like people.
Doesn't play
It's a
well
little
with
bit.
others.
No way, man. Yeah.
Plays well with food. It's definitely playing well with my taste buds
Either.
right now.
It's um, playing well with my belly right now.
Yeah. All right, Matt. Well, I have a non-Carmenere related question, but I want to know a little more about your winemaking philosophies. I mean, we're talking about Carmenere. Unfortunately, most people don't have it to be drinking at the moment, but it sounds like a lot of
What?
people are going to be getting some.
What? It,
So,
People are tuning in and watching who do not have a bottle of this amazing Carmenere? Man, that's disappointing. Um, well, they know where to get it. 11winery.com, all that. So winemaking philosophy. My winemaking philosophy has two parts. Uh, keep it simple, keep it science. Um, and so keeping it simple, is something that's fairly widely practiced among artisan winemakers, like trying not to do too much to the wines, um, and letting the grapes express themselves. Because the more manipulation that you do to the grapes after they arrive at the winery, uh, the every time you do something, you lose a little bit of definition, a little bit of fidelity of the expression of the fruit itself. So we try and keep things simple. And for us, that really means um, picking as soon as the flavors are there in the fruit. Because if you let the grapes hang a long time on the vine, you have to do a lot more to adjust the balance. So like a perfectly balanced grape will have perfectly ripe flavor and just the right amount of sugar to make the amount of alcohol that you want to have in the final wine, and just the right amount of acidity, because those things have to be in balance. Too much sugar means you end up with too high alcohol, a wine that's too hot, um, as many wines are. Or, if you make a wine that's got too much alcohol and you want to fix it, then you can apply modern techniques to remove some of the alcohol. But again, you're going to lose some of the flavor of the grape at that point. The wine's going to become more generic and less specific. And uh, so the longer you wait, the more manipulation you're going to have to do to bring the fruit back into balance, and the less life is going to be left in the wine to help it to age longer. So you really want to get the fruit just as soon as the flavors are there, because the flavor is the one thing we can't adjust. We can't do anything about. All the quality comes in from the vineyard. You can't add quality in the winery. All you people out there who want to be winemakers, you can't add quality in the winery. Quality all comes in with the grapes from the vineyard. Um, and if you're making wine from overripe grapes, it's like trying to make, it's like eating an overripe banana. Like, who wants that? Like, no, no, no. Um, so, uh, getting the fruit like just as soon as it's ready, and being boots on the ground in the vineyard, week after week, day after day, checking on the fruit and making sure when that happens. That's the single most important thing that I do all year, is making that picking decision and being in the vineyard and knowing what's going on. Um, and that's what allows us to keep things simple in the winery. And then the other uh, leg of my two-legged stool, which never falls over because I have perfect balance, is keeping it science. So there's two big camps in the wine industry. There's traditionalists. They're like, this is the way it has always been done in France for a million years. Or I don't know what accent that was. That was a terrible accent. Uh, it was German-occupied France. And it's been done this way for hundreds of years, so we must continue to do it this way. Uh, but that ignores the fact that like some of the things that were put into practice hundreds of years ago were put into practice because that was all they had. It wasn't the best way. It was just the way that they had. Like, for example, oak barrels. Oak barrels were the only watertight container that existed. Full stop. Um, uh, there was nothing else. And so that was why wine was stored in barrels. And um, and the ones that were made of oak made the wine taste better. So people started storing aging wine in oak barrels. Um, but does it make sense to continue to do that today when is that the right way to use oak to get this? The oak is like a spice, right? You want to add a little bit of oak to the wine. It elevates the flavors. Um, but is aging your wine in a barrel made of spices the right way to get the spice into the wine? I mean, it's kind of like it's very much like if someone said, "Oh, I've got this apple cider and I really want some cinnamon flavor in it." I know. I'll build a barrel out of cinnamon and age my apple cider in the barrel made out of cinnamon to get the cinnamon flavor into the wine. It's crazy. Nobody would do that. It's insane. But that's exactly what people do all the time in the wine industry today. And the only reason that they do it is because that's the way it's been done for hundreds of years, because that was the only container that you could possibly store wine in. Um, so continuing to do that today is crazy. You have to think about these things. And the other side of that is, so that you've got the traditionalists on one side, and then on the other side you've got the modernists who are like, well, or the people who are just following whatever fad comes along, which is generally something that looks great in a magazine photo. Um, so you find people who are like making wine in concrete egg shaped tanks, or like fermenting stuff in barrels, or using optical sorters to remove all imperfections from the crushed grapes, which looks fantastic in the photos. Beautiful, beautiful musts with nothing but perfectly round, ripe berries in them, and with all complexity removed. And do you want all the complexity removed from your wine? No. And neither does anybody else. So it's just a bad idea. You have to examine the impacts of these new technologies on the wine and not just accept them because they look great in a magazine. Yeah, so that's my winemaking philosophy. And we apply that to the, when we're bringing in a new grape variety we've never worked with before, we have no idea what's going to happen. We keep it simple, we keep it science, and we see what happens. And in this case, something pretty great happened.
Usually the result is pretty great. What is it? The same year we brought in the Carmenere, we also brought in the Chenin Blanc, our first Chenin Blanc of 2018, and that was a huge hit.
Yeah. Thank you.
Can't wait for more.
Haha. Yes.
Haha.
Oh, I know, right? It's very tempting, sitting in bottles in the warehouse. La la la. Just ignoring, pretending it's not there. We seem to have a ringer in the comment stream. Who could that be? Sir Pack Northwest. Well, yes, we do have Mount Townsend cheese. Wait, what? Mount Townsend Creamery went out of business. How can you possibly have Mount Townsend cheese for sale? Let me tell you, we got the very last of it, and it's shelf stable. It's got a reasonably long shelf life. We've been keeping it in the fridge. So, but it will not last more than a few weeks. So definitely head down to our Winslow tasting room and get the very last Mount Townsend cheeses in existence.
Yep.
Before they're gone. And crackers and wine. What?
And crackers. Yep.
Cheese, crackers,
all the
and
makings
wine.
of a perfect Friday night.
Obviously, that's what I'm having for dinner is cheese and crackers and wine.
That's like my favorite dinner.
I know, mine too. Maybe some apple slices if I'm feeling healthy.
I also would throw in like maybe some cured meats in there as well.
Some what now?
Some cured meats, like some salami or
cured
prosciutto.
Meats, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. What kind of crackers do you prefer?
I actually really love the crackers that we have. These ones. These are the crackers we have. Those are my favorite. They're really good.
Yeah. The croccantini. Yum. Love those croccantini.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right.
All right, kids. Well, it's dinner time for me. So thank you all for joining us. It's been super fun tasting with you. If you are running low on wine, come see us online on our website or in the tasting room down in Winslow. We'll fill you up with bottles. Free shipping for 6 or more bottles. Free delivery on Bainbridge Island. And hang in there. We got this. Things are going all right. And remember, it doesn't matter if your glass is half full or half empty. There is room for more wine.
Definitely.
All right. Thanks, Alana.
Thanks everyone
Have a
for
great
joining
weekend.
us. Yeah, thanks, Matt.
Weekend,
come see me in the tasting room, anyone who's local, tomorrow.
We will see you next week.
See you next week.